people tried to use that $13,500 in the TVM solver. Which, by the way, how do I know that this is a TVM solver?
Monthly payments.
Right there, periodic payments. You didn't chunk that money down one time and said, I'll be back in a bunch of years. You didn't go to the bank and said, I want to borrow this money and say, I'll be back in 20 years to pay for the house. It didn't work that way. You paid it down in chunks, in an installment plan. So that makes it TVM solver. And if it's a TVM solver, then we are going to insist that you provide us the information that supports how you came up with your answer. All of these values need to be present or a clear indicator of which one you're trying to solve for. So where does the $13,500 come into play? They got that money in the bank right now. Is that going to buy the house? Obviously not. But is that part of what the house is going to cost them? So that $13,500 is not coming out until this particular point in time. That $13,500 plus what they borrowed is equal to the cost of the house or the price of the house that they're asking you to find. It has no place to go in the TVM solver because it is not the present value of their loan. And it surely better not be the future value of their loan. And it's not going to be the amount of payment that they make every month. So there's no place to go in the TVM solver. So start filling in the blanks. Little by little, there's information in there which guides you to the problem. So if the 13.5 is not involved in the TVM solver, what is involved there? They financed money from the bank. Because they financed money from the bank, they're taking a loan. And if they're taking a loan, what does that mean? The future value is zero. The biggest mistake that many of us made, not as many as have in the past because we harp on it, is getting the future value and the present value in the wrong place. You take a loan, your happiest day is when the loan's paid off. You have a savings account, your happiest day is when you got a chunk of money at the end. Okay? So here, 4.5% interest does not go in as a decimal value, goes in as a percent value. Compounded monthly, so interest gets accumulated every month, but you pay part of it off every month as well. You agree to pay off the loan in monthly payments. PY and CY should be the same values. Your payments are $850. But, wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to? Didn't you forget something? Payments are always negative. The second biggest mistake in the TVM solver that was made on the test, forgetting that a payment is no longer yours, so it just left your account. It's gone. For 15 years. 15 years, 12 times a year. Which you can leave as a multiplication problem because the calculator will turn it into 180. I'm fine with you leaving that as a multiplication problem. And slowly but surely we filled up everything except the present value. So isn't this what we have to solve for? And in fact, isn't that the amount of money that they borrowed? But that's not one of the things they asked you for, was it? So that doesn't go in the first answer blank. But it certainly is something that we need to get. Have we got all of our information now? So now we can go to TVM Solve It. It's an app, remember. It is a financial app. And it's used only for calculating one of the missing values over here. So whether we choose to do 15 times 12, now this just happens to be the same problem. We only used the TVM solver once in the last class. So all the information is already in. What you got to remember is you got to leave a number on every line that sits out there. So up here, if I did 15 times 12, the calculator would not care at all. It's still going to turn into 180. I got my 4.5. If I had nothing on this line, this would be the line that I returned to when I put in all the other information. And I would do an alpha and an enter to be able to get to the solve. So your solve function comes up as an alpha and the enter key to launch the program. So that means that you just chunked over $111,112 and change 9 cents. That's what the bank gave you a check for. That check paired with your $13,500 gives you the price of the house. The price now is $124,612.09, if I did that addition problem in my head correctly. Good starter house. And some people, their starter house is also their ender house. It just depends upon how much you can afford to pay and how many kids you have. Not finished with the problem yet, because we got the second part of the problem now that says determine the amount of interest that the young couple paid over the 15 years. Third biggest mistake on this problem, people went back to interest equals principal times rate times time. You ruled out simple interest very early in the exercise. You're never going to use it again in the problem. But the interest that you paid is equal to the total amount that you paid minus what you borrowed. And the total amount that you paid was $850 every month for 15 years. Or in other words, it was your payment times your end value. But again, that's not done in the TVM solver. And then you're subtracting what you borrowed, but you didn't borrow $124,000. You didn't borrow $13,500. You borrowed $111,112.09. So now you're back to the TVM, but not the TVM because it's designed to find individual ingredients. You got to get back into the home screen, which means you have to quit out of that screen. So you're $850, 12 payments for 15 years. You paid $153,000 out of your pocket for that house, in addition to the $13,500 you paid to begin with. But that's not interest in the problem. So now we take away our $111,112.09. Bunch of ones in there, which means that we paid out of our pocket a total amount beyond the cost of the house, $41,887.91. Lots of steps involved in the problem. This problem, if I remember right on the test, had a instructor hint that tried to remind you not to mess with that PV, with that $13,500 anywhere in the TVM solver. Tried to remind you that you had to add that to the amount that you financed to get the total cost of the house. So lots of steps involved in a problem like this. 10-point problem. Being able to answer the first question, the list price of the house, is 5 points of the problem. And then being able to use that list price and the other information was given is the second part of the problem. Then I know you'll see a problem like this.